we'll wait for a couple of minutes here and see how many people want to come on. I want to welcome you to this live stream AAR on the Las Vegas shooting. I'm going to make an adjustment here, if that's all right with you, just a little bit, just to give it a little there. And like I said, we put out the after action report today. Hi, Brandy. And I hope you all have had a chance to look at that before coming here. If not, it's not a big deal. We'll probably cover some of the same material here. But the real primary reason for me wanting to do the live stream, hi Rebecca Ann, is because I wanted to have kind of a question and answer thing. Before on these live streams, I've done all the talking, without really paying attention to your questions. And so really the purpose here is that I want you to go ahead and have some input to what we're doing, okay? Thanks, Phil. I appreciate that. And like I said, I'm going to wait just a couple minutes. I'm a little late getting up because I have some problems with my modem, as I've told you before. It's part of the reason why some of the video is skipping around a little bit and looks like it's bubbling. Hi, Lauren. And so I had to adjust some things there, and of course, the technical difficulties always cause you a little grief, and that was the case on this. Good stuff, good idea. Thanks, Beanie Man 67. Alrighty. Like I say, we'll wait for a few more minutes. I'm hoping that some of the people that have actually assisted me, not always directly, there are some that have helped me directly, but some indirectly, that I've notified that this is going to happen tonight. Gave them the information on the AAR on the YouTube channel here that I put up about 2 hours ago, maybe 3 now. That was another thing, ran into some difficulty there. Hi, Pam. Glad you're here. And did you find out about the shooter's arm? The shooter's arm. You mean the weapon? Is that what you're talking about, Lauren? Or I imagine that's probably what you're talking about. You might have to clarify that for me just a little bit. What we are sure of is that there were at least two types of weapons involved. No, arm in his sleeve in the photo. Oh, no. No, not specifically. I was looking more at the crime scene as much as we can see, generally there, and his facial structure. That's really where I honed in. And Tracy Beans was the one who actually put me on to that, because I had to go looking for the photograph, And actually I have another photograph of who that person really is, but I'm not going to talk about that here. We'll just say that it's apparently not the real Paddock, not the one that they showed us up front anyway. So, like I say, we're going to use this as a real question and answer period. I'm going to really pay attention to your comments and try to address those. Now, the way they come up on the screen, some I might miss something. So don't worry about, having to rephrase your question or put it back up if you want. I just saw Pam Jones asking about the Hooters ambulances. I've talked to a couple of people about that now, and I am still of the opinion that there was no actual shooter inside Hooters, and I'm not trying to make a rhyme there. That just isn't the case. The EMS wouldn't have set up there the way they did if that had been the case. Now, I think what they were doing is they were using that as a staging area to bring the wounded, because the EMS, as I explained in today's AAR, will not go into a danger zone by protocol, by SOP, okay? First of all, the cops won't let them go in there, because if you get your EMS people shot, then who's going to take care of the wounded? So by protocol, the ambulances, the medical people don't go in until things are secure. That's why I'm thinking that the Hooters area had been secured. If there had been a shooter in there, I don't think they would have set up the staging area there. So I think the people that were shot close by Hooters were done long range, okay, from the shooting area, or they bled out and fell there. And I think I'll take this point in time here, if you don't mind. I'm not going to get into the big spiel yet. There are a few things I do want to say, but I will say that this was a heinous crime, and it was done on a military type of platform, an operation. Are you aware of Able Danger and Field McConnell's work to expose corruption in the U.S. government? Yes, I am. As a matter of fact, I'm very good friends with a couple of their, not agents, but people that work with them. Okay, yeah, I do. Hi, Kimberly. How you doing? Mindy Patriot, I think I saw you there too. So we're up to about 20 people now so far, something like that. Yeah, Able Danger has actually been a great help to me on more than one level. And I'll just give them a shout out here. I won't name any names. Some of you might know who they are. But they're great people. They've been helping me out for related to cane danger. That's good, Lauren. Hello, Fully Awakened, Paul Hibbard. Who rules now? Yeah, getting a few in here. So, Able Danger has helped me on a personal level and a professional level. Okay, I'll just kind of leave it at that. And they are. I'm acquainted with Field McConnell. I haven't actually met him in person, but we've talked on the phone in other ways. But his people have helped me out a lot. The company keeps popping up. You mean the CIA? I missed who said that. See how fast these comments come up, and sometimes I'm not going to be able to address them right away. Fight the good fight. Hi, Fully Awakened. Yes, hopefully we're going to become fully awakened. I don't think too many of us are right yet, but we're certainly trying to. We're struggling to get up and to see what things are really about. Okay, Defango's vid. I understand that Defango's pretty good. I haven't used him as a source, not because I made it a conscious effort not to. It's just that I've been doing other things, so I haven't checked Defango out. And I know he was having a problem with somebody. I can't remember who it was. Maybe you all know. I don't know the details, but apparently there was a falling out between him and, what was it, Truth Media, or not Truth, Crowdsource, The Truth. I think they had a falling out somewhere in there, maybe with George Webb. I'm not really sure. But at any rate, he's not one of my sources, okay? One of the people I follow. You know, I mean, you could follow so many people. I mean, and a lot of people know what they're doing. I feel bad that I didn't know about Tracy Beans, for instance, until just right around the time of the Las Vegas shooting, maybe a little before that. Actually, it was before that, just slightly before that. Is it possible the flashes in the cab driver's side mirror were that of the car? No, they definitely weren't. Absolutely, they were muzzle flashes from a weapon very, very close. Probably inadequately muzzle flashed, actually. Things are just getting started, Mini Patriot. You're correct. You're absolutely correct. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome, Phil. Yeah, and I've seen a lot of muzzle flashes at night. I know what they look like, you know, and I know what the sound is. And when you're looking in her mirror and you see those muzzle flashes at the same time that weapon's going off, it's the same thing. It's coming from the same weapon, same place. It definitely, and it wasn't the 32nd floor. No way. It wasn't the 32nd floor. Yeah, so, okay, well, we're, 10 minutes after the hour now, almost. So let me go ahead and say a few things. And since this will be up on YouTube, you can send other people there to see, you know, the whole thing if you would like. Internal dynamics are like these with the alphabet agencies right now. Okay, I'd love to answer all the questions quickly. Let me go back a few years to answer that, Pam. And you might already know this, okay? I saw internal conflicts within the federal government when I was there, okay? Especially when the CIA was involved, okay? And I'm not. It's not an extensive experience with that. It's just what I saw when I had the opportunity. In 2013, when we had the Boston bombing massacre, as everybody probably knows now, I was one of the first officers to go through the Army Terrorism Counteraction course back in 1988. And I learned a lot of things there, of course, and I applied them throughout my career. And it was appalling, I might as well tell you, and I know I've said it before, I was appalled at the time to find out that terrorism has a broad number of definitions. It's not one definition like you'd think when you look on the FBI or the Department of Justice or whatever, where they have the definition of terrorism. That's the overall explanation of what terrorism is, but by definition, there are, at the time I went through the terrorism counteraction course, there were at least 24 different definitions of what a terrorist is. And I'm sure that over the years, and as a matter of fact, I'm positive of this, that it's expanded to where almost anybody can be labeled a terrorist. And that is why I've been so much against, this whole thing with the Patriot Act and being able to grab somebody on the suspicion of terrorism and just take them off the street, because you're not able to meet your accusers based on a suspicion, and maybe not even a suspicion. Maybe you're just somebody that some politician doesn't like, and so they say he's a terrorist. And I'm going to give you this example. It's not exactly right because I think it's all been declassified from the 80s, but I'm still a little careful. I'm sitting in the class, and one of these definitions, and I'm just going to give you this one example of what a terrorist is. I was thinking I was going to hear about the Munich massacre, with the masked Islamic fighters and, that kind of thing, That's not what it was. I mean, they covered that as well. But one of the definitions was, and this is, just listen to this. You have 2 weeks supply of food in your house. That's a very subjective judgment. You have a means to make a living without a W-2 form from an employer. In other words, you're self-employed. The third is that you have a firearm. Those 3 things qualify you as a terrorist by definition. So if somebody doesn't like you, they'll just say, oh, yeah, he fits the definition of a terrorist. Go haul him away. You see the problem with that? Without any jury, without going before a judge, they just take you. So there's a real problem with that. So now, that was a long explanation now to get to the Boston Massacre. When I saw that, I realized it was an operation where 2 agencies were fighting each other. It was right about the time, right after the Mueller had brought the CIA into the FBI and vice versa. And there were still some internal conflicts going on there. And if you want to know more about that Boston bombing thing, go back and look at those videos that I did. They're in 2013, right at the time of the bombing. I think I did the analysis like a week later. And basically, what I said is that this is evidence of a war in the federal government. So there are the good guys, the white hats, and the black hats, and they're definitely fighting, and we're seeing that now. Very, very much so. The waitress at Hooters said 400 wounded people came into Hooters. Yeah, I don't doubt that. There probably weren't 400 wounded that made it there, but I think she's basically saying that there was a large group of people. Okay. Let me say another thing here before we really get started. You're not losing hope. I hope not. Don't lose hope. Okay. A lot of normalcy bias out there. Okay, I'm going to preface everything that we do tonight with a couple of statements. The first is that, just somebody kind of mentioned it, we have to keep our sights high. We have to have the moral high ground. We have to make sure that we have the spirit of love in our hearts. That doesn't mean that we can't defend ourselves. And people that are just trying to be peaceful and only will rise to an occasion to defend themselves, these wicked people have to understand that when you finally get those people to the point where they're willing to take action, it's going to be disaster for the wicked. Okay, it is. Craig Sawyer said that. Most of you, I think, know who he is. He's a prior Navy SEAL. He does a lot with his organization is vetsforchildrescue.org, which is about taking care of kids that have been stolen, used for pedophilia, things like that, human trafficking. So the point is that there are all of these really wicked people that have done some really terrible things, and they're being exposed now. Isn't it wonderful? It's absolutely wonderful. The question is, why aren't they getting arrested? Why aren't they going to jail? Hillary Clinton, Podesta, all of these people, all of them, right? Because Jeff Sessions, I think, has been compromised. Or maybe he is working underneath all of the mess that's going on, and things are happening, but I just don't get a good, fuzzy feeling about that. I'm not certain that that's what's happening. I get a feeling more like he's he's covering up. The Bundy situation is a really good watermark about what's going on there, because even with all the information now on the Uranium One and all that the ranchers were trying to stand up against, they knew about it. They knew about Harry Reid trying to take over land in Nevada, and the possibility of uranium there. They all understood that, but nobody in government would listen. So what happened? They took the action that they had to. All right, if anybody should, I'm not even sure they should be pardoned. I think the Justice Department, of course, as corrupt as it is, and we all know that it is, right, needs to drop the charges on them in the interest of justice. But what it's going to take is we're going to have to keep after Hillary and Harry Reid and all these people that have done some really bad things, because the wicked, they're being exposed, and we just have to keep doing that. And that leads me into my next thing. And that is that I just want everybody to know that I'm really honored to be amongst these wonderful people that are doing all they can to expose wickedness and to get the good to rise up. It's really amazing, because it's something that hasn't really happened this way before. And it's because I think the Spirit of God is resting on so many people, and it's just really beautiful. And they're not just sitting there watching it happen. So many of them are rising up and doing something about it, going out and looking at the corruption in government and exposing it, and calling for the arrest incarceration of these criminals. And we're exposing all of them. And that's part of the gospel, really. If I'm talking to somebody who's not Christian, I'm sorry. It's part of the awakening. Let me put it that way, so that everybody understands. Not that I'm embarrassed of the gospel, but I want everybody to understand that awakening is really what this is about. It's about the perfect law of liberty and acting upon it. And so I just feel really grateful, that I have so many people that are there with me, that I'm with them, that we're all in the same company. So let me just say that and say thank you to all of you for getting out there and watching your lane. As I said in the AAR today, if you watched it, we can't do everything. So what we need to do is find something and be aware of everything else, but work in our lane to take care of business there. What are your thoughts on the 3 FBI agents killed? Good question. Let's be careful that information, where it's coming from. I'll just say that at this point. I don't want to put any dispersions on anybody that's out there trying to get the truth out. But I know where that information came from, and I'd be real careful with that, okay? I'm not even saying it didn't happen. It very well could have. But, the fact that they found weapons in a warehouse and all that, and that it was an ambush, more than likely done by somebody else in the government. Again, this government insider fighting, if in fact it happened that way at all. But I would just be real careful about that. And that's why I'm not going there, okay? Because that's something we'll probably never find out about. That was all encrypted communications. Supposedly the Russians were able to pick it up and then to talk about it. We don't have access to that. I mean, you just don't have access to it. This, we have access to. We can pull the information out of there because we have hard, information, real physical information. Okay, another trick. Yeah, it could be. Let's see. Well, thank you, Mindy. Like I said, it's trying to release some karma, some bad karma. Let's see. SWAT breach audio. Yeah, someone really needs to listen to. Actually, they did. Okay. And he might come on here tonight. I'm not sure if he will or not, but apparently they did hear the audio, and one of the officers said that that one shot was fired and they took out the suspect. Now that's an interesting situation as well. And let me say this about that. Here's a guy with 20 some odd weapons in the room, thousands of rounds of ammunition. He, along with the other shooters, that I was saying there were 3 shooters at least, but I think 3 is probably what it was. They stopped shooting at a predetermined time, and I don't know if there was somebody else in there doing the shooting from that room, if in fact there were really a whole lot of shots from there anyway. And they exited the area, their pre-planned escape route, and left this patsy in there drugged, out of his mind, whatever, standing there with a weapon. And I know that sounds crazy, but that can happen, okay? And so I just don't know exactly what the circumstances were. Of course, we were first told that he killed himself with a pistol, and one of the sheriffs in an interview on 60 Minutes, I think, said, when we entered the room, there was a suspect laying down, and the handgun was placed in a position which was the same position that it would be in, that would lend itself to a suicide. And now we find out that wasn't the case. So even that officer lied. One of the two. I mean, both situations can't be true. You're saying 4 shooters, 7 suspects dealt with, 2 plus got away. Could be. Could be. I wouldn't say that there could be more than 3 shooters. I can identify 3. Personally, looking at the evidence, I can identify 3, and there may have been another one. Very, very possible. Let's see, what else do we have here? So many lies, absolutely. Just like the shooter dressed like a Marvel character after shooting up the movie theater. Yeah, yeah. How do you escape from prison? Oh, good question. I'm not sure how you mean that, but at any rate, you mean with all the video around there. It can be done, okay, especially if you have help, which in this case, I believe that this was a government. If it wasn't government run, they looked the other way, okay? The people that were, the handlers were looking the other way, making sure everybody else was too, okay? And let's see what else we got. What do you think will happen if they try to impeach Trump? Well, I think that's why all this is happening. We all know about the November 4th thing that's coming up. I've talked about the American Red October, the Bolshevik Revolution brought to the United States, all the things with Antifa and Black Lives Matter and all these things going on, the lies in the Congress from people like Pelosi and Ryan. You notice I got to say both parties. Just all the way down the line. The corruption in the alphabet agencies, especially the intelligence communities. What's my motto on my channel? Remember? Our most dangerous domestic enemy is the intel community. And it's divided. They're not all bad, but they're being run very, very, very bad people. Absolutely. So, yeah. I don't know what else I could say about that. Session has been compromised. I believe so. I believe he has. He's asking in an accusation how I escaped, how I got out of prison. Okay, run that back through there, okay? I want to see that again. You know, I want to see who said that. Okay. Well, you know what? The people that need to be in prison are on their way real soon, I think. If and that's why they're going after Trump. And I didn't finish answering that question. All of this chaos, confusion, and everything, all the shooting, everything. Look at the Ukrainian overthrow, the situation happened in the Ukrainian coup, and you're seeing that here now. And I've talked about that on this channel, okay, on my videos. So they're trying to get the people to believe that Trump isn't going to help them out, which, you know, is a bad idea anyway, because independents, you know, the conservatives, they just want him to do his job. They're going to take care of themselves, right? So at any rate, they're trying to stir everybody up to get them to distrust, you know, the government, which deserves to be distrusted, but they're doing it for the reasons of chaos. So how will the impeachment go? They'll probably use some of this against him, that he's, you know, like they tried to do earlier on. It's all going to converge here pretty soon, but I'm hoping that, I don't know who he's got behind him. I wish I knew, but at some point in time, he's going to need people that will stand there and then go start, you know, hauling these people in, definitely. And he's certainly going to have help if he uses Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution with people like Craig Sawyer, Matt Bracken, even myself, okay? But we'll see how he actually pulls it off if he does. You know, I'm not on the fence with Trump. I want to hold his feet to the fire, right? Okay, Purple Revolution is escalating, yes, and I think we're going to see some more. We just found out that what? Soros just put $18 billion of his money back into this. He wants to take this country down. And so he's enemy number one. He's enemy number one. And Hillary's right in there, and, you know, some other people. But they got to go after Soros. And he's going to fund all of this stuff that you're going to see from here on out, up into November, beyond November 4th. Remember, the Russian Revolution actually took quite a bit longer. It just didn't all happen in October, which was actually on the, I get these two confused. One was the Gregorian calendar, and the other was the Caesarean calendar, I think is what it's called. Anyway, And there's a difference of about 20 some odd days between those two calendars. So in one place, it was October, but in Russia, it was actually November. Does that make sense? Yeah. You'd have to look at the calendars and see how that works out. But anyway, we're in that time frame. And that's the important thing. No, we're in the time frame. Soros needs to be terminated. Yeah, he at least needs to be stopped, for sure, and all of his cronies, absolutely. Let's see. Hillary announced she will not run again. You know, liars lie, and that's you can't depend on anything she says. In front of Hooters, yeah, again the Hooters thing. I think that was, as I said before, it is a staging area for the wounded. They aren't going to go into the festival area, tromp on evidence, risk getting shot. That's the real point of the EMS. They're not going to go into a dangerous situation. So they secured the Hooters area, the police did, and then the ambulances came in there to help take the wounded to get medical care. All right, let's see. I don't know what's going on here. Jalal Hondu, shut up, Brandy. Let's be civil. I mean, come on. You haven't even met each other. How do you know, right? How do you love this enemy? Is that you're talking about me, Paul? You can go somewhere else. You're not gonna convince me to be embarrassed and huddle and go off in the distance. If you don't know how I've stood up to these people for some 30 years, all right, you need to think about that, if that's what you're referring to. And maybe I misunderstood, but I think you're the one that's constantly putting this stuff up there. Okay, when are you dying, sir? Well, you know what? There's a thing, you say that to somebody else, and, all those fingers, you point at somebody and you're pointing back at you with all those other fingers. So I'd be careful what you wish for, especially when you don't know who you're talking to, okay? You start making stuff like that, and there are forces in the universe that will come back on you. No, I don't believe in Allah, okay? I don't. And I know it's the name of God in Arabic. I understand that. But you look at it in a certain way, okay? I don't. And that's the reason why we're Americans, okay? I don't agree with everything America's done. I'm very ashamed of some of the things we've done. I'm ashamed of the fact that we've accepted so much evil into our society. And I'm not going to go into all the details on that. But one thing we got that you ain't got, and that's the perfect law of liberty. Okay? We've got the perfect law of liberty. We've got access to it. You don't. You're a slave. You're a slave. And you're a subject of a man's doctrine is what you are. So if you don't like it here, Masood, go away. It'll do you a lot better for you to do that. All right? I am a doctor. Doctor of what? That's the big question. Nah, they serve a purpose, Brandy. Let the trolls come, especially those guys. They're put out there. They're paid to do that, and that's okay. It shows that we're effective. It's like the old saying, you get flack when you're over the target. It doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. I fought these guys. I know what they do. No big deal, okay? They stir up this giant, and they're going to, well, let's not be guilty of bravado, okay? America's got a lot of problems, but, we're hoping that the Spirit of God will enlighten us now. We're asking for it. Okay, can the FBI be cleaned out? Wow. Again, the intelligence services are our most dangerous domestic enemy, of which the FBI is one. It's had decades to be subverted, corrupted, even involved in criminal conduct, trafficking of different types. It will take somebody like Trump, and the way I've envisioned it, I've even asked for it, is for Trump to, again, activate Article 2, Section 2 to get the kind of people he needs, and find the good people in the DOD. The CIA has infiltrated the DOD as well. I know that for a fact. So it's going to have to be, a major operation and go in and literally assault those different intelligence agencies, starting with the CIA. We'll have to hit them all pretty much at the same time, and that includes the FBI. But I think Trump's trying to do it in another way right now, at least I pray that's what he's doing, is exposing them for what they are because they aren't Americans, okay? They're only concerned with their power, their control, their money, their position, right? They're not there to obey the law that's supposed to shackle them. They refuse to accept that shackle, but then want to impose upon us agendas and regulations and other things that are tyrannical and autocratic and wicked, evil. So we've got to deal with that, and that's why I'm so proud to be involved with so many of the people that are out there, doing so many things, like Craig Sawyer, who will come right out and say, like I said earlier, that those people better be careful because, people like him don't mind melting barrels, if you get my drift. Okay, let's see. Who's at the very top of the elite globalist pyramid? Jeez. I don't know that I could answer that question. What I will answer is I put up a video here about a month, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, something like that. It was before the Las Vegas shooting, so probably a month ago, where a Silicon Valley exec said that it's time for us to start worshiping AI, artificial intelligence, as God. My personal opinion is AI is up and running. It is sentient at this time. We see evidence of it all around. But it's still growing in power. So there are some other aspects of that, but I think that's kind of what we're going to look at. Somebody is going to go ahead and get that chip. Some guy is going to get that chip, in there that links him right into that AI, and that's the guy we're going to have to worry about. Soros is a preparation for that. He's a very wicked man. He actually fills some biblical prophecies, but I don't think he's the worst that we're going to see yet. And I think that's just kind of like getting ready to, that's the first level of this, and it's probably like the second team, and the first team is about ready to step on stage. I think. Yeah, I think AI is running. Yeah. And they want to worship AI. That's right. Go look at it. I put it up. It's you'll see that the guy actually was talking about it. It was in Silicon Valley. He gave the talk. Yeah, he did. And of course, I forgot his name now. Anyway, he said that he didn't believe in God, but that he was going to become God. I think he was one of the guys over Google, or one of those. I'm sorry, the name's slipping my mind right now. You'd know it if I said it. Okay, Bezos. No, he's not at the top. No, he's a billionaire puppet. Even the CIA gave him what, $600 million to run the Washington Post. Oh yeah, we've got a free press. Oh sure, Sharon Tobe. Hi, how you doing? Cop at White House over fence. I believe it ties in with cop at White House over fence. I guess I missed that. I'm sorry. Can we win this? God's going to have to win it. We just have to be willing participants and pick a side. That's how I'd answer that. That's where we are. You pick a side. Anything on North Korea? Let's stay away from North Korea right now, because I think this thing in Vegas, not that North Korea isn't a problem. It absolutely is. I've done videos on that. I was warning years ago about the possibility of EMP from these guys and China helping them and all this kind of stuff. North Korea is a problem. We have the Clintons to thank for that, and we have the globalist order to thank for that, because they wanted to keep that there. And it's going to be a problem. It absolutely will. As a matter of fact, I heard that Maui lost power today. The entire island did, and they were afraid that it might be an EMP or maybe some North Korean special forces that may have taken it out. I don't know if that's true. I haven't seen anything more on it. Maybe you guys who've not been tied up with this so much today would know. But what I would say about that again is this: I've been concentrating on this because this is so indicative of where our government is and what it intends to do to us. Okay, the corrupt parts of the government. All right. Does the Vatican run the CIA? No, I don't think so. Some people say that Israel does, or the Vatican does, or whatever. The intelligence communities are a law and a nation unto themselves at this point, and they've been that way for a number of years. If anything, they're controlling the Pope. That's the way I'd look at it. for a lot of reasons. Remember, if you're a Christian and you've read the Bible, right? Who did Jesus whip? The bankers. The bankers were the problem. Okay, the people, the money people that were controlling the lives of everybody else, and doing it in a very bad way. So, and the CIA, for instance, was created by the Wall Street bankers and lawyers. So I don't look at the Pope as, in my opinion, as a matter of fact, I was Catholic at one time. I look at the Pope as a real problem. But and he's a socialist and he's done a lot of damage. But that's what they're doing to all institutions. They're subverting and corrupting all institutions, okay, across the board. And that's where we have to stop. We can't let them continue to do that. FBI ever come clean? No, not unless we start jailing them. No. Let's see. Roy is egging you too at Jalal Hondu. The Pope is a demon. Hi, Pam. He's, in my opinion, he's a very evil man. Yes, he is. He might even be, have a demon inside him, but who knows for sure. Let's see, Beth. I tried that too. Maybe if someone else asked, Julie, I'm sorry. These things go by so quick as I try to answer them. I don't always see it. So let me see if I can catch it. Beth, let's see. Way more powerful than the Catholic Episcopalian Church. Way more powerful as far as intelligence agencies go. I don't know. Brandy and Roy are Mexicans. What can I say? Why don't you go away, Jalal? You've got other things to do somewhere, okay? Does the government kill for political purposes? Are you kidding me, Lemon Drop? You got to know that's true. Of course they do. Even our government does. I mean, I tell you what, go look at Operation Northwoods. And I'm not going to go over what that was, but just go look it up. Go look up the Red Brigades in Europe with Operation Gladio. Okay, just go look at those. Look at the Kennedy assassination, and we could go on and on and on. There's a lot of other things that we could talk about. Okay, yeah, Operation Paperclip was a good example of bringing Nazis over here to take over a lot of things, and a lot of them went to South America too. Did you hear about Paddock's brother having connections with drug traffickers in the Philippines? I do know that the Paddocks had a lot of connections. I don't know about Eric himself, but yeah, there was and I don't want to, actually say things that I can't prove, but the indications are that they had their hands in drugs, human trafficking of various types, possibly gun running, and those types of things. Okay, all right. Look up at the sky spraying. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in the sky, Pam. You're absolutely right. They're poisoning us. We know for a fact it's not good for any of us, nor for the earth. California fires. I've seen a lot of pictures out there. That goes along with causing all this grief and all this chaos that we're seeing, the attacks on us. I heard that the MSM said that there was a person with ISIS that actually had set one or two of those fires. Looking at them, I did a little thing here not too long ago. I don't have it handy right now, but I compared the temperatures of a forest fire to what's necessary for melting steel and tempered glass. And forest fires do not have the heat, normal heat, without accelerant added to them to melt steel and tempered glass. So something else was going on there. Some people have thought that maybe they were EMF weapons, electromagnetic frequency weapons, or directed energy weapons. I don't know. All I know is that the pictures don't look like a normal fire situation to me, for sure. Okay. Yeah, it just got the buildings and only the green trees and grass were left, which is very odd. If those pictures weren't photoshopped or altered in any way, then yeah, I would think that it was an attack of some kind. I would, for sure. Okay. I guess you guys know each other, right? I guess for some time. Check out Algo Capitalist, the last 20 minutes. He was on the Rogue Money today. He mentioned things really make you think. Go find it on YouTube. Good idea. Jalal, you really need to go somewhere else, okay? You really do. Okay. Okay, let's try to get back on the issue that we really want to talk about, because this is indicative of what your government is trying to push on you. We can worry about North Korea. We can worry about, all these other things with Soros and all that, and he's definitely involved. But what happened here? Okay. Anybody have any questions about Vegas? What we covered in the AAR? I don't know if you've all have seen the AAR I put out today, or the video that I put out 2 weeks ago now, which is the live stream on the Las Vegas massacre. That AAR today and that live stream kind of go together. All right. Why in Vegas? Wow, good question. That's a good one. I think it has to do with the banking industry. It has to do with the pedophilia deal. I think it has to do with human trafficking. I think it has to do with gun running. There's a lot of things that are going on in Vegas, and I covered it in some of my videos if you want to go back and look. Short of the whole thing is, I think it has to do with those issues in a lot of ways, and I think that there was a high value target that they actually shot before everything else started. We don't know who that was, but I think it was probably over. Here's Mandalay Bay here, and 32nd floor. There was a shooter here on this side, a shooter down on the convention center about 800 meters away, and one somewhere in this area over here closer to the festival, probably at the Oasis Apartments, but we're not really sure. We just know the distance, not the exact location. McCarran Airport's here. Janet, which if anybody knows what Janet is, do you know what Janet is? Anyway, it's for flying out to Area 51, and it's over in this area too, and some other high value areas that are under heavy surveillance. So it very well could be that they were actually shooting somebody over there. I don't know, but a high value target somewhere out there was what they were after. So Vegas had a number of things that they could use it for. The festival that they put out there that Paddock was, or whoever this guy was, first was after a rap concert, and that didn't work out, and then he changed to this. I don't know that I believe that story. I think the Highway 91 Harvest Festival was always the target because they were Trump supporters, Christians by and large, gun supporters, constitutionalists. A lot of them were military, the people that were military and police. A lot of the people that were there that night were there because they were invited, because they were military or police related. So I think that actually was the target. All right, let's see. We can keep it. Phil C, I missed that, but you said yes, so okay. So anyway, a lot of reasons for Vegas. Okay, the banking thing as well. The one industry that has really tried to stop this whole cashless society thing and digital currency is the casino industry, because they really count on having cash transactions. That's how they deal with it, and so they've been kind of holding back on that. And then we saw this whole thing with the CEO of Mandalay MGM. His name is James Murren, who sold all of his stock apparently just before this happened, which is very suspicious. And they've been in some financial trouble. Well, I think they're being forced to have to accept the digital cashless system. You can't launder digital money. Old Paddock could be out of a job, wouldn't he? He certainly didn't make it gambling. Absolutely not. Talk about Scott Edmiston. Now, Julie, you'll have to remind me who that is. Okay, I might be missing something there, and I'm sorry I've missed it several times now. I'll have to go look it up. Roy, what foundation you use? None of your business. Let's see. Our king is in route and he is not happy. I believe that is true. I heard only one report that there was a pedophilia ring in Colorado. Well, they're all over. This pedophilia thing is throughout corporations, ecclesiastical institutions, government. It's pervasive at this point. It's all over the place. Islam even goes along with it. Why do you think that the power elite like Islam so much? Because of that. And I'll just say that for everybody's benefit. And yes, I've read the Quran, and yes, I've read the Hadith. Okay, so I know what I'm talking about. All right. Let's see. Johnson City to arrest heavy arms on October 2nd. Johnson City, Tennessee, arrested. Okay, something to do with some arms there in Tennessee. Okay. All right. So anything else on Las Vegas? All right. Anything there? Yeah, they've been. I know military coming home from over there. They told me the same about pedos over there. Yes, yes, yes. Belly dump. That's true. I just don't want to, get off that on that subject too much right now. Scott was arrested in Tennessee the day after the Vegas shooting with the same type of weapons. Oh, yes, 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 that guy. All right, now I know who you're talking about. I'm sorry. Like I said, there's so much information. Um, yeah, there's probably there very likely could be a connection there. I haven't actually followed that part up yet. There are some other people that are doing that. There was also the situation, I think it was the same kind of explosives that were being sold. Where was it? In New York, that Paddock had in his vehicle. So, yeah, this thing has a lot of other potentialities to it. Absolutely. And that's why I say it's very bad that they're fomenting, with Soros adding the money and being able to pay these people the $2.3 trillion that was lost by the Pentagon the day before 9/11 that Rumsfeld talked about, and then nobody ever went back after that money. Where do you think it went? It went to the shadow government. It went to places like the CIA to run these operations to turn us from a constitutional republic and Europe from a basically liberty-loving place into slavery. Okay, because that's what evil people do. They want to control your lives, and that's who runs these intelligence agencies, and that's where all the money went. Okay, and so yeah, they're doing all of this. Absolutely, we know that. What was the connection with the guy in New York State? Boy, these things go through here really, really fast. Again, what happened at Hooters, we've already covered that. That was a staging area for the ambulances. They cleared the building before the ambulance people came in there so they would be protected. I don't believe there was any shooting there. Lombardo was with friends from back east. Dang, boy, these things go fast. You can slow it down, Roy. Do I look flustered? This is really different. I almost wish it was a call-in thing so that I could spend more time with each person, but that's not going to happen for a while. Yeah, we need to demand all video footage, but we're not going to get it, Pam. They're not going to do that. They're a law unto themselves. Really, the people, and that's another point about all this. The people are going out and forcing the truth out there, and the corrupted people in government, not the constitutional form of things, but the people that are in there are the criminals. And they really do need to, we the people really need to unseat them, and it can't be done by the ballot box. It has to be done by force. And what I mean by that is somebody like Trump, again, starting Article 2, Section 2, getting a group of people that can go out there and make these raids. And that's going to be a dangerous thing. You talk about, that's going to be dangerous. There's going to be shooting and stuff all over the place. You better have your provisions ready, okay? Stop giving them money. That's true. But again, how are we going to convince everybody to do that? People don't want to act until they're actually bothered. And it's a really hard thing to overcome. That's why we need a good figurehead out there that can lead us on the right side. What side is the military on? I think it's half and half. Who rules now? I think we've got some problems with the military, as we saw with the first lieutenant now, but he was a USMA graduate who liked Che Guevara and the communism. You remember that came out? Yeah, the connection with the guy in New York State that killed his daughter. I don't think we know enough about that yet. There have been people that have looked at that and said that there really isn't a connection. I wouldn't dismiss it that quickly because, like I said, these tentacles are everywhere. I would leave it open at this point, and hopefully we can dig into that a little bit more and find out. I appreciate I missed that. Can Trump force LVMBD, FBI to give public answers on this massacre? Trump needs to bring somebody in and task them with the responsibility is what has to happen. Just ordering them, they don't obey his orders now. Jeff Sessions doesn't obey his orders right now. So I think it's going to have to be, he's going to have to start looking at this thing from outside the box in a wholly different way to fix it. And it's going to be bad. It's going to be a fight from one end of this country to the other. Just like it talks about in the Bible, that's how bad it's going to be. And we might be Babylon, but if we've gone that far down as Babylon, once we hit bottom, there's only one way to go, and that's up, right? Yeah, the division between good and evil. I didn't know how President Trump manages all this. Me either. I'm not too impressed with the way he's handling his staff. A lot, too many deep state personalities in there. I haven't heard much on gun control lately. Strange. They're just forming their lines, under concealment. They're getting ready to come out again. Don't think that hasn't, something that they're not going to continue with. Okay. Open civil war is a possibility, yes, and they fomented it between races, between sociological lines, a lot of things. Kelly, I've had my questions about him. Alleviated to some extent, but I'm still not out of the woods with him yet, personally, because he's a general that survived the Obama purges, and that tells me an awful lot. I worry about things like that because those were people that were loyal to Obama's agenda and to the New World Order and those types of things. So, and we could get on that subject sometime later. There's a lot to it, a lot to it. I don't trust anybody in the military, '06 or actually '05 or above now. I think there's some problems. Same thing with McMaster. I definitely don't trust him at all, period, zip. All right, let's see. The Bundys, we've kind of mentioned that already. You think the LV shooting was a misdirection to something else happening in the world? Well, certainly trying to get our minds off the pedophiles. I mean, we're coming right down on this pedophilia thing. There's still more arrests happening. I was partly involved in I had a minor part in the investigation, as some of you may know, in the Franklin cover-up out of Omaha, Nebraska. I was involved in that as I took part of that investigation. I know a lot about pedophilia and human trafficking, and even ran into it in part of my personal life with somebody that it actually surprised me when I found out that they were involved in this whole thing, and it opened up some real difficulties. I'll just leave it at that. Okay. What about November 4th? Yeah, it's still coming. We're a week away, a week and a half? Yeah, it's going to be a problem. And don't think that it's going to stop on November 4th. It's going to get worse and worse leading up to it, and it'll stay there for quite a while. The objective is to make you feel like that it's justifiable to overturn Trump's election and to bring in martial law and control. And they'll do it very subtly. They'll call it national security and national emergency and those types of things. Okay, but it's really about forcing the American people to heal using Hillary Clinton's statement about bringing people to heal. Got to grab some coffee. Me or you, Phil? Maybe both of us, huh? Maybe both of us. Okay, let's see. It's only for public safety. Continuity of government. Yes. Well, the continuity of government is just a nice name for the shadow government. It had a legitimate purpose in case we were attacked, but it's been usurped by the shadow government and the deep state for its own purposes. Don't think it's there to help protect you, to help keep the United States government working to protect the American people. No, it's not there for that. Not at all. They just as soon all of us go away. Okay? Yes, John DeCamp was a good man. I knew him. Okay? That's true. Okay, back on Vegas. Anything here that you're not real clear on, or you'd like some, to discuss some issues that maybe aren't making any sense to you? Okay, let's see. Yeah, I don't see much happening here. It's a stranglehold on us. Tell it again, I missed it. I'd like your thoughts on the Phoenix ATF. I don't trust the ATF, period. They're an alphabet agency that shouldn't even exist. Look what they did at Waco. That's all I need to know. All right, that's all I need to know. The purpose of Vegas, and that's kind of where we went on the AAR. It was to take attention off the pedophilia thing, number one. Not the first reason, but that was part of it. Somebody's grabbing control of something, and Vegas was the place to do it for a lot of reasons. And again, it's about subverting the Constitution and bringing the American people into more of a police state, and maybe even worse. Yeah, I'm aware of the New York Times viral video, the official narrative, but I haven't actually looked at it yet. I plan on doing that, just so that you know. It was announced that Antifa was starting up ahead of time. What are your thoughts? Yeah, they tried to have the hot summer, the summer of chaos and all that, and it got pushed back because of a lot of the things that the conservative people were doing, and so then they tried to say that then the DNC and the left had people come into the right posing as people on the right, and they were really leftists being used to just fire up that whole thing, like in Charlottesville, as we understand it now. Okay, not saying there aren't people on the right that take things too far, of course, and I don't know if you all understand my concept of politics and political systems. I don't have um, uh, for instance, democracy on this side and fascism here, or fascism here, and communism here. It's not a left right thing like that. What mine is that you have anarchy on this side, and you have totalitarian governments. I don't care what they are on this side, and what you want is something in the middle. Okay, so that's my philosophy, and I don't buy into all that other stuff because it's a way to get you confused, and you see it with Antifa. They're saying that they're out there fighting the fascists, but they use more fascist tactics than the fascists do. So it's all just semantics. It's anarchy or it's totalitarian tyranny, and you want to be in the middle somewhere, maybe even a little bit further over towards the anarchy side. Who buys into Antifa? uh, it's being run by very, very intelligent, well-dressed, rich people. I think you need to understand that. It's being run by very, very wealthy people and people who understand how to manipulate large groups of people and to cause a lot of trouble. They're not to be underestimated. Okay. Let's see. I know you all are talking amongst each other, and that's a good thing. I don't want to necessarily stop that. Yeah, William Cooper, I think, was a good guy. Yeah. And, of course, they went after him. Yeah, for sure. My master pick looked like Aaron Rouse, so I sent my master a tweet asking him who. That's good. That's funny. I like that. Is there a Mossad connection in Vegas? Okay, I'll answer this by saying this. All the intelligence agencies are in bed with each other. Okay? That's just a fact. There's all this thing about Israelis spying on us and us spying on them and all these other things going on. The real fact of the matter is they're all in bed with each other. I don't doubt that Mossad was somehow involved in 9/11, for instance. I have no doubt in that at all, or at least knew about it. If not, why did Al Franken in his book, he's now a senator, right? And I brought this up before. Senator Al Franken had an office in one of the World Trade Centers. I don't know which one it was. But and it's in his book, Lies and the Lying Liars That Tell Them. Something like that's the name of the book. You can go look at it. You can actually look it up online. I remember when it came out, and I got the book and I read it, and I read this thing in there. I went, holy cow. And he admits that he was told on the morning of 9/11 not to go to work because something bad was going to happen. Okay? Obvious. Yeah, the dancing Israelis who tried to talk their way out of it, and of course a number of Israelis were arrested and deported. Yeah, for sure. So remember though, I don't want you to blame the people in Israel as a whole, okay? They have a corrupt government, and especially the intelligence part of the government is corrupt, okay? But that's the case all over because we've given them too much power. They're secret societies. They're really the epitome. You hear people talking about Masons and about that kind of thing, when in reality the really dangerous secret societies are the intelligence communities. That's really the dangerous secret society, and they should always have to, when you have intelligence operations, they should always answer to an authority like an oversight committee in Congress and the president. But it's been moved away from that. This thing about releasing the JFK files, for instance, they're going to redact the hell out of those things. And Trump shouldn't let them do it. He should say absolutely not. But then what are they going to say? Oh, you're endangering national security, so, if we can't impeach you, we're going to take you out some other way. It's always an excuse that the intelligence agencies are the ones protecting the great American Republic, when that's the biggest, fattest lie of all. They're not protecting the American Republic. They're protecting their own power. They're a separate government. They have their own Army, Navy, and Air Force. They conduct themselves without any oversight, without any law. They're above it all. They're an enemy to the Republic of the United States of America, and the DOD should attack them. I'll just say it, and I said it before. I think they should go in and wipe it out, wipe the CIA, hunt all of them down. The decent agents on the bottom, okay, reconstruct the intelligence agency to answer the way it should to the president and to those committees, and do away with everybody else. Absolutely. And that's again what happened here. Okay, this is showing Trump. Hey, you really don't control anything, Donald. You know, we can pull this off, and look what we've done here. We've even got caught in lies. You know, we've even changed the scenario several times. We've got this Lombardo guy wrapped around our little finger so tight, you know, that he's scared to death. What do you think we can do when we can do stuff like this? Right? Yeah. Trump's got to get tough. And he needs the right people behind him to pull it off. And people like Craig Sawyer and Matt Bracken are the type of people he needs. Okay. Yeah, predator pimps. FBI, CIA, NSA are predator pimps. Yeah, that's for sure. They are sending Trump a message. Yeah, I'm certain that was part of it. Dr. Pachinik thought that Trump, you know, did this false flag. And I was a little surprised to hear him say that. I don't know if he's backed off on that right now, but I don't think Trump would have, even if nobody got shot here, even if none of that happened, even if it was a big fake thing, which, you know, I'm not saying that, of course, but even if that were the case, I don't think Trump would have gone along with this. I just can't see him doing something like that. He's too down to earth, you know, meat and potatoes. I just can't believe that. Dr. Pachinik, yeah, what's happened to him? I can answer in just less than 5 words. Spy, always a spy, psychiatrist. That answers it all. He's still going to approach things, not that he's always wrong, but he's going to put his little spin on it, because he's trained that way. He's just going to do it as a matter of course. It's almost like he can't help himself now. I mean, he's 70-something years old. He's been doing this for, 48 years, something like that. You know, he's not going to change overnight. Yeah. Yeah, Alex agreed and quit having him on. Yeah, there were some real problems there. But there was more. There was an interpersonal conflict with Alex, and anybody who's had anything to do with Alex other than watching him on TV, you can kind of understand why you'd have a personality conflict with him. As good as he is, he claims he doesn't have an ego. Yeah, right. Okay, I got to pull you back in on this. Okay, is there anything anybody else wants to talk about here? Smart dust and the chemtrails. You're talking about the nanoparticles that you breathe in, and it becomes part of your system, and then they can transmit stuff to you. Yeah, I've heard about that. Rob Dew is a good one. Actually, Rob Dew seems to be the only one lasting. I know what you're saying, but I would rephrase that and say that so many people on Alex's staff are so good. I really like them. I've hated to see a lot of them go, but I understand why. Okay. Watch the first 30 minutes of previous vid. Dead on Roy. Good work. That's Glenn Geary. Oh, thank you, Glenn. All right. Any update on the guy that was arrested in Tennessee after being with Paddock? I don't have any of that information right now. I've been putting all of my effort into studying this scenario that happened here and the immediate things that were happening around it, because that has so much to do with, somebody just said something about the Bundys. Again, this could also have some implications on all the land grabbing that's happening in Nevada, along with the banking system. Those things are all tied in. So very likely that's possible. That's another reason why we need to expose this, because there have been people that have been arrested and imprisoned unjustly. and the system has been used in such a way that it's basically abandoned all of its requirements under the Constitution with precedent law, and we need to change that. David Knight is great. Yes, I agree. This guy was being held in Johnson County Jail in Tennessee. Yeah, I'll look at that and we'll see. But there's probably some other people working on that. But I'll probably check into it. Did Trump have foreknowledge of LV? I don't know. He may have received an intelligence briefing, because if this thing had gone down in LV without at least the FBI or the CIA at least saying, we're getting some rumblings, there's some chatter, he could come back on them. So they probably would have said something to him to cover their butts. Absolutely. The helicopter was doing video. Yeah, it wasn't involved in the shooting. No, that was a camera on the outside of the helicopter. Was there a drill? Yes. We know there was a drill the week before and even the night before. Okay. The Trump hasn't seen anything yet? I don't know. I think most of his efforts are in North Korea and hopefully the pedophile rings and the idiots in Congress. Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense, Gwen. Like I said, they probably would have said we're hearing some chatter because they need to cover their butts on whatever they were going to do there. But that doesn't mean that Trump would have known that they were going to do this thing, that they would pull this off, and that all these lies would show up so quick. I mean, the sheriff is he's a snake anyway. He's a worm. All right, and so is the FBI, Aaron Rouse. But you watch that sheriff, about how he changed his demeanor over that time. He's having an internal conflict. He knows what's right. He's just not going to do it because he wants his promise. Whatever the promise was made to him, he's still latching onto that, and he's going to lose his soul if he keeps down that road. But that's anyway. You know how I feel about that. Generals are keeping a lot from Trump. Remember, even Harry Reid said that the CIA shouldn't tell him the truth about the intelligence briefings. That's why he needed General Flynn, and that's why they got rid of him. Plus, General Flynn knew so much about the pedophilia. But guess what? Just getting him fired doesn't mean that he doesn't still have the information and isn't willing to share it with the president or his representatives. And I think we're going to see some of that here pretty quick. Okay. Most have sold their souls. Yeah, Cheryl was probably he could have been threatened, and maybe so was Jeff Sessions. You don't wear a badge and a gun if you're not. When you go into that thing, you just got to understand what the difficulties are. What are you going to sacrifice the entire people that depend on you because you're afraid? There just comes a time when you just got to say no. And he would be a lot better off, the sheriff would, if he would just come clean about what happened. He really got embarrassed on this thing with the timeline, with the shootout supposedly at the hotel room when they first said it was a suicide. This guy's hanging out. I mean, you talk about somebody with his pants down. Lombardo's got his pants down, and he's getting taken advantage of. Really strong. He's just got to stop. His people are losing respect for him. I don't even know if they had respect for him before because he has already done some other things. But now, why do you think this leak came out? It just shows you there are people in the department there that just don't have any trust in him and realize what he's done. Okay. Nobody's squeaky clean. We're human beings. We've all got problems. But it's how your conscience deals with it, of course. I don't know who said that, but you're right. They'll try to get dirty. They've done it to me, but I'm an open book. They've tried to manipulate me and do some things like that. I'm an open book. Hey, I've been a man of the world. I'm not going to deny it. I've been out there. I had different motives than most people. The reason why I did it, but I still did some of those things. But I don't hide it. It's ridiculous. So, you just have to be above board and not be blackmailable. Okay, I don't like the Queen of England, but that's a whole nother subject for right now. Have the FBI confirmed a second shooter? In a roundabout way, by not talking about Mike Adams' forensic acoustic analysis. The fact that they haven't addressed that means they don't want to. So it's kind of a backdoor thing. It's a catch-22 for them. They can't really even comment on it because it's going to hang them no matter which way they go. All right. So never trust the FBI again, ever, for any reason. The whole organization needs to be destroyed, as well as the CIA, and you've heard me say that. And it's got to be rebuilt from the bottom up. Actually, our whole government does at this point, keeping the foundations, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, those things. But the people running the institutions need to be booted out because they think they're the government, and they're not. They're supposed to be the charter, the people that are to manage the charter that they've been given by the people. But then they think of themselves as overlords, and we've got to change that. That's got to stop. You wanted to emphasize on your son, spiritually, to all of you out there, that this was what I would like to say. If you have a righteous thing is in your heart, this is the awakening. Yeah, I think so. God said he would pour out his spirit on all flesh, right? In Joel and in Acts. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay, you wanted to emphasize on your son's spiritual validity to all you out there. This is what I would like to say. If you have a righteous thing in your heart, there is the awakening happening. Yes, very good. I like that. Very, very much so. I agree with that. Okay. No, I'm not aware of that. Sorry. 7 elders to decide the easy cases and 1 elder to decide the hard ones, similar to Moses. Yeah, we've made too many laws. That's one of our problems. Too many laws. Why do bullet holes in the door of Paddock's room look like entrance holes and not exit holes? There's a whole problem with that whole scenario about him firing, 200 rounds down the hallway. That's one of the problems with somebody wrote that into this freaking scenario because it doesn't match what we see. It doesn't match what happened. It doesn't match anything. That's some low life FBI or CIA asshole. Whoop, there I go slipping again. Who wrote this into the scenario, and some up above guy who okayed it is so freaking ass lazy he didn't even read the scenario and they blew it. That happens. It's just like in Hollywood, the bloopers, and I mentioned that once before. You write up a scenario like this and not a real situation, and you're going to make mistakes and anachronisms, euphemisms, timing elements, details, and it happened in Ocean's 11, which, by the way, happened in Vegas. Remember that movie with Brad Pitt and George Clooney? Remember that? And there were several anachronisms and mistakes in that, one of which was 1 minute, Brad Pitt standing in the Bellagio of all places, and he has I guess it's a cocktail. I guess it's a shrimp cocktail, if I remember right. And he's eating it, right? And then it cuts away from him, and it's still the same scene, right? Just a second or two, and it comes back and he's holding a martini. Those kinds of things. Well, this situation in Vegas is rife with those problems. They're everywhere. That's why we talked about this, because a lot of it's right here. Well, I would have to breach the second bedroom door. You would think that door should have been open. I'm having a problem with the entire scenario surrounding that, okay? Despite the audio and some other things, I've still got some questions about who, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to say I just have some questions, okay? Again, looking at it from a professional point of view. All right. Wow, we've been going on for how long here? An hour and 15 minutes almost. Yeah, that's another problem. That's why I say that the crime scene in the supposed hotel room doesn't look like a place that's just fired off, 1,000 rounds. And, it's just too orderly. The stock sitting on the floor in such a place, and even the body laying there, and the weapon with the tripod is kind of over his leg. If he had, what position was he in when he got shot that would make that thing fall right like that? Yeah, I'm sorry. I've got some real problems with all of that. A lot of problems. Okay. Yeah, I think it's time. I think we can all go. The arm and a hand and no arm. Yeah, the whole room was laid out Hollyweird style. I agree. I absolutely agree. Okay, I guess we'll call it a night. Thank you for coming, and I'm going to be watching Vegas, the things that are happening there. But I think we've pretty well decided what the game plan was, and the fact that they're all lying to us, from the sheriff to the FBI, and that there was a drill down there. That there were actors in the town. They were doing drills. There were scenarios that were running by crisis actors, but there were also people actually shot too. And I explained that in the AAR if you want to go back and look at it. All right. Thank you all for coming. And probably the next time I do a video of any type, it's probably going to be slightly on a different subject because of what I just said. I'm not sure what that's going to be. I'm probably going to go back and look at Antifa and what's coming up here in the next couple of weeks and onward from there. I'm hoping that they don't try to throw Trump out of office under some nasty method and contrivance, because if they try to do that, there's going to be all hell to pay. We've already seen that. People talking about it, like Craig Sawyer, for instance. So good night, everybody. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care, all right? God bless you.